The following program is hosted by Fox Communities Credit Union. The views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers.
Fox Communities Credit Union.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Bringing It to You Straight answers to your financial questions with Fox Communities Credit Union, part of Focus Fox Valley here on WHBY. We've got a busy hour, lots to talk about. Still to come in our show, we'll be talking with the Alzheimer's Association, and stay with us for our fraud segment towards the tail end of the hour. But right now, we are speaking with the Chief Lending Officer at Fox Communities Credit Union, Adam Landsverk, joining us once again on Bringing It to You Straight. Good afternoon, Adam. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon, Haley. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely glad to have you back, and kind of a hot topic we are discussing right now because I know that the home buying market is truly a hot one right now, and that's what we're focused on today.
It is. I think what's most interesting, I get the question very frequently, right, is now still a great time to buy a home? And my answer would be it depends. I know that that's not very direct, but take a few things into consideration, primarily just the market itself, but we're still in an all-time low rate environment, right? So rates are still around 3%, which historically are at all-time lows, and it's really the reason that I encourage friends, family, our members at Fox, non-members that approach me is to have a tight relationship with one of your local lenders, because it's a difficult time to make a really big decision for most people, which is their home or their home purchase. So it's really important to have a local lender.
Yeah, you're so right in that it is a really big decision for families, for couples, for individuals looking to find their home. And it's hard to not be so excited about that process, but it can be a little frustrating when things maybe don't happen as quick as you'd like them to, or they're maybe happening too quick right now in this current market. So, Adam, what types of things can you, a lender, kind of help out with here?
Well, as I've thought about this, really the main piece of a strong lender with experience is going to bring the local advice, and really to be able to put a timeline to what you just mentioned, how quickly things are moving. And sometimes that's okay, but many times it's not, right? I think human nature, when we make decisions too quickly, too rapidly, more times than not, we err in our due diligence, right? We don't take enough time to think about the little things. So I think the lenders can help you with what a timeline should look like, what it should feel like, and get you back to what are your goals, right? How long do you plan on being in the home? What are you looking for to ultimately land? And the biggest question is what does your budget look like? I know my wife likes to watch these home improvement shows, and a lot of times they're mentioning around what's in your budget? What does that look like? Well, with all-time low interest rates, right, that's been able to change the dynamics to, a home appreciation market, meaning, a home a few years ago that was a $300,000 home is now $350,000, or a home that was $100,000 is now $150,000. Well, home affordability has still stayed strong with all-time low rates. So really understanding your budget and down payment are things that your lender would be able to walk you through.
Adam, I know that when it comes to the home buying process, sometimes there are members of a team here. Of course, that lending officer, a key member of the team, but realtors sometimes, and many times, often a huge part of that home buying process. What are the advantages of working with a realtor?
Today, I think the advantage is that, again, this is no particular order. I think many of the lenders we have locally, again, work with many different realtors that have varied levels of experience in the market. But I think today, especially from a contractual obligation, like what am I signing up for? What am I getting myself in? How do I do this offer to purchase? What does this mean? It feels like it's moving quickly. when you have the expertise of a strong realtor backed by your lender, I think you can feel like that team is there as your support system or your spine to be able to help you make the right decisions when you get that phone call of whatever, something might have gone wrong with the inspection, or what questions you have and where do I turn, like who do I ask these questions to. And I think between the team of a strong lender and an experienced realtor, they can really put at least the information in front of you to make an informed decision.
Yeah. Do you see any disadvantages of working with a realtor, Adam?
Well, I think we're all, it's a tricky question. And the reason I say it's a tricky question is the general advice that I give, I don't like to participate in things that I don't completely understand or that I'm not an expert in. And I pay for those things, right? I think that's what you pay when you're trying to get a lender, a realtor, right? You're paying for that expertise because more times than not, most individuals don't have those. So, yeah, I think if you're going to say, what are the disadvantages, right? You're paying something out of your pocket to get advice. But I would say in the market that we're in right now, especially the market is overheated or close to overheated with this home market. I would believe that the advice is well worth it versus doing it on your own and making a mistake that you'll regret for a very long period of time.
Well, you mentioned being an expert, and we know that you are the expert when it comes to lending as the Chief Lending Officer at Fox Communities Credit Union, Adam. And one final scenario we're going to leave here before we go to break here, but we often hear people talking about home equity loans. Can you quick tell us what the benefit might be to having a home equity loan?
Yeah, I'd love to. Recently, again, as things have changed, so for those in your home, that you're not going to be able to sell, or you don't know where your next home is, or it's being able to use your home as, for most people, the largest asset they have, and be able to use that for cash availability when needed. So if I say at Fox, I just do a really simple, quick math of if your home's worth $100,000 and you owe $50,000. And your home's recently appreciated, what we can do is take a valuation on your home, give you that second lien in your property so that when it could be the vehicle that you always wanted, or the home improvements that you wanted to do, or the land up north that you never thought would become available. By having some home equity available, it gives you that purchasing power, for the rainy day purchase, or maybe not to help a family member out, or someone that might not be that have that availability. So the point is, you never know, but it's that safety blanket that protects us. That's how home equity should be used. And in today's market, with home values going up, it only makes sense that now would be the time to get your home equity at all-time high appraisal values. So that's why you would want that.
Some great tips today and wonderful information coming from Adam Landsverk, the Chief Lending Officer with Fox Communities Credit Union. Adam, how can folks get in touch with you?
Again, we are foxcu.org. We've really done a nice job with our online platform here to be able to work with our members, or 993-9000. Always a great way to get a hold of us at Fox, either foxcu.org or at 993-9000. Give us a call or shoot us a note.
Adam, thanks for being with us once again. Great to hear from you, and I'm sure we'll welcome you back to Bringing It to You Straight very soon.
Thank you for your time. Take care.
All right. Adam Landsverk, again, Chief Lending Officer with Fox Communities Credit Union. Still to come here as we continue our Bringing It to You Straight hour on WHBY. We're switching gears and talking with the Alzheimer's Association. So join us for that conversation coming up next. And stick around, that fraud segment. Heidi joins us once again to talk more about if you're shopping, those types of big retailers that sometimes can be scammed as well. We'll get you those details when Bringing It to You Straight continues on WHBY. And once again, welcome back to Bringing It to You straight answers to your financial questions with Fox Communities Credit Union. And in our next segment, we are talking with today the Alzheimer's Association. This is intended for educational purposes only and does not replace independent professional advice, and statements and opinions are those of the presenter individually and not necessarily the opinion or position of Fox Communities Credit Union. But we are going to learn more today, and we are joined by Kahles today, a program manager for the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter. She works with a team of volunteers to provide community education programs and support services to residents, businesses, and professionals in Northeast Wisconsin. And Kate has a background as a nursing home administrator and holds a bachelor's in business and psychology from UW Eau Claire. She joins us now. Good afternoon to you, Kate. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Looking forward to learning more about you and the work of the Alzheimer's Association today. So I'm hoping, Kate, that you might be able to start with kind of an overview of the organization and the advocacy that you do here in Northeast Wisconsin.
Of course. So our organization is actually the largest nonprofit funder of Alzheimer's disease research. And looking at all funders, we are the third largest funder, only behind the U.S. government and the Chinese government for Alzheimer's disease research. So a lot of our work is in the field of research and just trying to learn more about the disease, about prevention, about treatment, and about care for people who have Alzheimer's disease. We also do a lot of work in providing care and support for people who are currently on this journey. And although we are called the Alzheimer's Association, we represent individuals with any type of dementia. So we serve families regardless of what type of dementia their family member has or their loved one has. And we provide support groups, education programs, advocacy opportunities. So we actually plan and schedule advocacy days where we train and kind of bolster some advocates with information to approach their local, state, and federal legislators to make sure that Alzheimer's disease and other dementias remain a priority on the legislative front as well.
Thank you for that overview, Kate. I think it's helpful for us to learn more about who is impacted or affected by Alzheimer's disease. Could you give us some numbers to this, Kate? How many people are affected by Alzheimer's?
Yeah, we know right now that there are over 6 million Americans who are living with Alzheimer's disease. Of course, there are several million Americans living with other types of dementia, and there are a number of individuals who are not diagnosed either. But we know that there are over 6 million Americans diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Wow. And of course, the people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's are obviously affected, but I know that the family of that loved one is impacted as well. Can you expand on how families are affected by Alzheimer's? Of
course. So often we hear about the emotional effects, right? Mm-hmm. So we hear about family members who are really emotionally affected by this change in their loved one's memory or in their loved one's personality and behavior. And those are huge changes to a family unit. So we know that those are really, really big impacts. But there are other ways that families are impacted as well. You know, more and more now we are seeing that the caregiver of a person who has dementia is actually working. And so that affects someone's ability to perform their job, to bring in wages. Many Alzheimer's caregivers report having to cut down on their hours at work or change their schedule in order to care for a parent or a spouse living with this disease. And we know that there are 11 million Americans who are providing unpaid care for a loved one who has dementia. So when we think about the word caregiver, we often think about the home health aides coming in to help, or the CNAs in the nursing home or the assisted living. But there's actually 11 million Americans who are providing unpaid care for their family member in the home. So that could be bathing, grooming, it could be transportation to appointments, meal preparation. So there's a big cost to the family unit for that person's time and potentially wages to be providing that care. And certainly we are grateful to all those family caregivers who do that work.
No doubt. And I'm sure, Kate, that's kind of where the Alzheimer's Association can come in to show and offer those support connections for those caregivers. And we're going to get to those in just a bit. But I do want to keep kind of speaking to maybe what families should be keeping an eye out for, those signs, and maybe how families might start to realize it could be dementia or Alzheimer's versus signs of typical aging.
Yeah, so we know that when we get older, our memory changes, right? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I find myself being more forgetful, or I see someone in the grocery store and it's just so much harder to come up with their name, that is kind of an expected change. You know, we expect that as people get older, they maybe have a more difficult time multitasking. They might not be able to talk on the phone and cook dinner at the same time. There's just, you know, reading a recipe and talking on the phone can be difficult. But dementia is different than typical age-related changes because dementia is a change that is so severe that it's disrupting your daily life. So if you find yourself misplacing your keys or your glasses more often than you used to, you know, think about, do you have the ability to retrace your steps? Do you lose something and you can think about when you last had them and sort of walk through your home or your office and find them, you know, look at where you may have last been with them. A person who has dementia, they won't remember when they last had their keys and they won't have that ability to retrace their steps. So think about, when I lose something or misplace something, do I have that aha moment where I'm like, oh yeah, you know, that was so-and-so's name, or that's where I last had that item. And that can make it a lot easier to help differentiate, is this dementia or is this just some typical aging of the brain?
And Kate, do you think that sometimes individuals with dementia or Alzheimer's maybe start to realize themselves, or is it something that a family member might need to point out to them? What do you see?
So this can be so mixed, and this makes it really hard for families because there are some people who are aware that these changes are happening, and they might be aware and willing to talk about it and address it. They might be aware but in denial, right? So they know it's happening, but they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And they also might truly not see or know that this is happening. And so some of it depends on what area of the brain is being affected, right? Is it memory or is it also reasoning and judgment skills? And that will change how they perceive their own memory loss.
We are talking with Kate Kahles today with the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter. She's joining us today to help us learn more about Alzheimer's and what the work of the Alzheimer's Association can do. Before we go to break here, Kate, could you let us know how we can learn more about the Alzheimer's Association of Wisconsin?
Of course. So we are on a number of social media channels at Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn if you want to keep up to date with our activities. We also have a website, ald.org/WI, that you can go to and learn more about what we're doing. And then finally, of course, our 24/7 helpline is available to anyone, any time of day, any day of the year for any question you have, which can be called at 800-272-3900.
We are going to continue this conversation with Kate on details from the Alzheimer's Association. And when we come back in our next half hour of Bringing It to You Straight, we are going to talk about maybe when a family should seek a doctor's opinion about memory concerns with their loved one. And we're also going to highlight more of those support opportunities that are out there through the Alzheimer's Association. All that to come when we continue with more of Bringing It to You Straight right here on WHBY. And we are back with more of Bringing It to You Straight. Stay tuned. In our next segment, we will be talking fraud once again, and our focus is refund scams from large online retailers or technology companies. But right now, we are joined by the Alzheimer's Association, and Kate Kahles is joining us. She's the program manager for the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter. And Kate, we've been talking about dementia and Alzheimer's, and I'm curious, are these one and the same? Are they the same thing, or what are the differences between the two, if any?
They are not the same thing, although oftentimes they are used interchangeably. Dementia is actually, it's just a set of symptoms. So it's not a disease. It's a set of symptoms like memory loss and personality changes and behavior changes that are caused by some other disease process. And so Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia symptoms. So there are other causes. There are actually sometimes reversible causes of dementia symptoms, like a urinary tract infection or a vitamin deficiency. But oftentimes, or in the cases that we see, that those dementia symptoms are caused by some type of irreversible damage to the brain, Alzheimer's disease being the most common cause.
Yeah, Kate, could you expand on that? What are some other common types of dementia?
Of course. So the next most common type of dementia that we see after Alzheimer's disease is vascular dementia. And vascular dementia is an irreversible form of brain damage that happens after some type of, guess it, vascular incident. So something like a stroke that would cause brain cells to die. There are also other types of dementia that you may have heard of, like Lewy body dementia or Lewy body disease, frontotemporal dementia. Wernicke-Korsakoff is another one that we sometimes see, which is can be caused by excess use of alcohol. And mixed dementia is when you have a combination of more than one of these disease processes happening at the same time.
Is it important to, put a label to the type of dementia someone has? Does it matter to know the type?
So that really kind of depends on the person and the family. One of the most important reasons for knowing what type of dementia is knowing what to expect. So each type of dementia may affect different areas of the brain in a different order or in a different level of severity. So something like frontotemporal dementia is going to affect the frontal lobe of the brain, which is where personality is housed. So you'll probably see a lot more personality changes or a lot more impulsivity from someone who has frontotemporal dementia than you might see with someone who has Alzheimer's disease. So for a caregiver to know what to expect and how to respond to those behaviors, knowing the type of dementia is important. It also can be really important to knowing, are certain medications going to be effective or not, just depending on how they work and what the symptoms of the disease are.
We're talking with Kate Kahles today, a program manager for the Alzheimer's Association's Wisconsin chapter. So, Kate, we're learning more. We're learning a lot today about dementia and Alzheimer's. And I'm sure that a lot of people might be thinking, oh, I had an uncle who had Alzheimer's, or this might run in my family. Can you tell us more about what we can do maybe to reduce the risk of developing a type of dementia? And does it matter if we have that family history?
Yeah, of course. So that's a big question from a lot of people. People are really worried about their own risk, understandably so. So we'll start actually with that piece of it, which is, does your family history matter? And the answer to that question is sort of, right? There's a gene that you can inherit in most cases of Alzheimer's that could potentially increase your risk of developing the disease. And most cases of Alzheimer's are what we call sporadic, meaning there's not a specific gene causing the dementia. There's instead this, potentially family history might be a slight increased risk, depending on, your lifestyle and what genes you inherit. So without going into all the details, it's just important to know that even if you have a family history, the only way that you can truly tell if you are at an increased risk yourself is if you have been genetically tested, and even in some cases your parents, right? They may not have
Right.
they may not have a gene to pass to you to increase your risk. So, genetics matters somewhat, but it's certainly not a definitive thing. So when we think about what can anyone do to decrease their risk, regardless of their genetic profile, we often think about 4 different areas of your life. So your activity level, your physical activity, your nutrition, your cognitive stimulation, and your social engagement. So with your physical activity, how often are you exercising? Are you really working up a sweat? Are you finding ways to keep your body moving? With nutrition, we talk about the combination of a Mediterranean-style diet with a heart-healthy diet. So if anyone is interested, there's a diet that has been researched heavily called the MIND diet. So MIND, your mind, like your brain. And that diet incorporates Mediterranean and heart-healthy approaches, and has been in a lot of Alzheimer's risk reduction studies that seems to have the most benefit in terms of how you're eating. And then cognitive stimulation is really how hard are you working your brain? The harder you work it, the more blood flow you send to your brain. So if you really want to work your brain, you have to do things that challenge you and things that inspire you. So make sure that you're keeping your brain active as much as possible. And of course, keep those social connections. So people who are socially connected tend to live independently for longer and have better brain health. So find those friends, the family, the social opportunities for you to be engaged, whether it's volunteering or church or a book club, that keep you connected to others.
Kate, of course, consulting with your healthcare provider, so important in all of this as well. When should families maybe connect with their doctor or seek a doctor's opinion? And where also, alternatively, I'll throw 2 at you, where can people go to find help and support if they do find out or suspect that their loved one has dementia?
Yeah, so if you are, concerned about it and wondering, when should I reach out? We'd say as soon as you feel that concern, as soon as you feel like, gosh, should I be talking to someone about this? The answer is yeah, you should. Giving your doctor or your loved one's doctor an opportunity to rule out physical causes is important first, right? Because what if these symptoms are caused by an infection or caused by a thyroid condition or some type of reversible thing? So that's the first thing you want to check for. And then even if you're not able to rule out a physical cause, you'll be able to get a baseline for what is your cognition or what is your loved one's cognition. And then the doctor can do, regular cognitive assessments or memory assessments to see, are things changing over time? Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? Memory assessments are actually covered by the annual wellness visit for Medicare. So don't hesitate to ask your doctor about it if you're someone who has Medicare especially, but really with any insurance plan to ask, should my memory be assessed? That's a great place to start. But if you also are looking for additional support, even before or after you've contacted your healthcare provider, you can certainly call our 24/7 helpline. I know I mentioned that number earlier, but it's 800-272-3900. It's a free resource that people can call any time of day, any day of the year to talk to a care consultant about their concerns. And it can range from, how do I get a diagnosis to how do I get involved in research or how do I find care to help with my loved ones. We are also really, really fortunate in the Fox Valley that we have great partners like the Fox Valley Memory Project, who has social engagement opportunities for folks with dementia. We have a wonderful Aging and Disability Resource Center who actually has a dementia care specialist as well. And they provide a number of support services funded through state and county programs that can help a family on this journey. So a lot of different organizations that can help direct families to more support programs.
Well, thank you, Kate, for helping to highlight those resources and, of course, to share more about the work of the Alzheimer's Association. It's been wonderful to talk to you. I know you mentioned a website. Could you quickly share that with us one more time?
Of course, alz.org/WI.
All right. Kate Kahles today, Program Manager for the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter. Thank you, Kate, once again for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, 446, and we are continuing with more of bringing it to you straight next with our focus on fraud. Refund scams from large online retailers or technology companies. Will tell you what to look out for next on WHBY. And we are back and bringing it to you straight answers to your financial questions with Fox Communities Credit Union. I'm Haley Tenpass, and now it is time for that focus on fraud. Heidi Kiecker joins us, BSA Fraud Officer with Fox Communities Credit Union. Welcome back, Heidi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So great to connect with you once again. And today's topic is kind of a big one. We're talking refund scams from those large online retailers or technology companies. And scammers, of course, they're out there taking advantage of victims using brands like those large online retailers or large technology companies. So how are they taking advantage of folks? Heidi, fill us in here.
Yeah. So as we all know, the largest online retailer and the largest technology company, I won't mention any names here, are two of the largest companies in the world, right? So especially over the last year, consumers are utilizing these brands more than ever. We know we can use them to fulfill pretty much all of our needs and wants, such as food, clothes, electronics, home, any entertainment needs that we have. So, of course, with this, scammers realize, hey, we can probably find a scheme to take advantage of consumers by utilizing these brands because consumers have become familiar and dependent upon these companies.
Yes, I know some people in my neighborhood who will remain nameless utilize them quite often.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yes.
Yep, you see the trucks.
You see the trucks, you sure do. So fill us in here, Heidi. How do these scams specifically work?
Yeah, so there are a couple twists surrounding what is known as the refund or overpayment scam that I'll be going through. One of the versions of the scam is you get a call and a recorded message that says, it's the largest online retailer, as you said, fill in the name. The message says there's something wrong with your account. So kind of alerting you to an issue that you might have. So it could be a suspicious purchase, a lost package, or an order they can't fulfill. Another version might be you get a recorded message that says there's been suspicious activity in your large technology account. Again, fill in the name. In fact, they may say that your account may have been breached. So in both scenarios, really the recording says, you can conveniently press 1 to speak with someone, or they give you a phone number to call. So, of course, they want you to take action to what appears to be an issue with something with their company, with their account with them, or something like that. What they are trying to do, right, is to get you to tell them as much information as possible, which could include your personal information like your Social Security number, your date of birth, your banking login, any debit or credit card information that they could potentially use. And they can go as far as asking for remote access to your device, whether that's a phone, your computer, to try and help you correct the quote-unquote issue. They could send you a link, tell you to go to a website that looks like the real company site, but it's really a fake site that they have created. And really what probably the worst scenario is if scammers get access to your device, it can cause much bigger issues for you.
Yeah, I can't imagine, Heidi. And I know that sometimes these similar scams can come through via email as well. So you really need to be looking and kind of reading between the lines here.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
So if the unfortunate happens, Heidi, and scammers do get access to your phone or your computer, what are the potential risks if that does happen?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. That's a good question. This is so important to know. So let's just say that because you think this is a real company that's contacting you to fix your issue, you do allow them remote access to your device to correct the issue. the caller's claiming you have. But by doing this, it can open your device for the scammer to see anything. So again, whether it's your personal information, your social media accounts, any login or password information, or debit or credit card numbers that you have saved, and potentially if you use online banking, which, honestly in today's world, the majority of us use, the scammer would have access to your financial accounts. Once they do have access to your device, they may ask you to log into your online banking so they can, quote-unquote, credit your account for the lost package or for your inconvenience with the said issue. And I'll give you an example here. So let's say the caller told you they'll credit you $300 for the inconvenience, but oops, they accidentally credited you $3,000. They mistakenly added an extra zero. That's kind of a big difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they show you the $3,000 credit on your screen in your online banking. Now they tell you, unfortunately, I can't undo the credit, and I will be fired due to the error. And they say the only way to fix this is to somehow get the money back. So then they say the caller then instructs the consumer to take the difference, the $2,700, and buy gift cards at some type of big box store. And again, I won't name names, and then give the gift card numbers that are on the back of the card to the caller. So that's kind of their way of giving that money back.
Mm-hmm.
So after that is all done, then the consumer has a chance to look at their bank accounts, and they see that the $3,000 credit that was mistakenly given to them was actually transferred from one of their other accounts. So what they thought they were getting, the credit was really their own money. So now the consumer is out the $2,700 that they purchased in gift cards.
Wow.
And now because they give access to their device, the scammer could have so much more information from their device as well.
Wow.
So I know this is probably the worst case scenario in this type of scam, but it's very real and is very easy to happen, and can happen to anyone when you feel like you're trusting a legitimate and large retailer or online technology company. These things can happen.
Absolutely. And these scammers can be so insistent and can be, very, very, tough on the phone and will say anything to get you to fall for this. So what do you do, Heidi? We've got about 2 minutes here. What do you do if you find out that you are a victim of this type of scam?
Yeah, so in this type of scam, there are several things that you want to do to protect yourself. Obviously, stop any contact with the caller, any further contact. Have your device scanned for malware is probably the biggest thing, because with malware's malicious software is used to wreak destruction and gain access to sensitive information. So if the scammer did get that information, that's what they have to look on your device for all that information. Of course, contact your financial. Financial is always there to help you. If you gave out your Social Security number, make sure to contact the credit bureaus to put a freeze on your credit. And, of course, you can file a police report to let them know what had happened.
And, of course, Heidi, where can our listeners go to learn more about this type of scam?
Yeah, so I always say you can find more information about this type of scam or other scams by going to the Federal Trade Commission's website, so ftc.gov, which they are out there to help, America's consumers with scams like this. So I always recommend going there.
Well, as always, Heidi, we are so appreciative for your insight and help in decoding these scams. Always a wealth of information. Thanks once again for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Heidi Kiecker, BSA Fraud Officer with Fox Communities Credit Union. And that will be it for this Monday edition of Bringing It to You Straight. Straight answers to your financial questions with Fox Communities Credit Union. Join us the second Monday of the month, every month, right here on WHBY.